Welcome to Talking with the Animals, an exploration of animal communication. Join animal communicator, craniosacral therapist, and NES practitioner Caroline Pope as she discusses how to understand other species as they truly are, not just from the human perspective. That's right, Mecco. Discover how communicating with our four-legged friends can open up a whole new world for both of you. And now, your host and Australia's most recognized and well-known animal communicator, Caroline Pope.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking with the Animals. I'm your host, Caroline Pope. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to cover something that I hope I don't have to do again for quite some time. Moving house. It's an incredibly stressful time for people and animals alike, and I decided to play around a little bit more with my communication skills this time when I moved to see how it helped or not. And I've got to say I was a little bit pleasantly surprised. To start with, when you're looking at houses, if you get a choice, some of us don't always, while you're actually in the home that you're looking at, if it's one you like or you hope you're going to be able to move into, mentally send pictures of the house to your animals. You may feel a bit silly doing it, but sometimes you'll just get either a really positive or all of a sudden you'll feel not right. And listen to that, because that will, if it doesn't come from you, it will come from one of your animal friends. Before you start the big move and you're packing, keep an eye on them. Explain to them why you're doing it, what's going on. Visualize how the house is going to look with your furniture in it. Visualize them being happy and relaxed whilst the packing is going on. And look, I know it's also a lot easier said than done, but try and remain calm and relaxed yourself while you're packing, because your animal friends will take their cues off you. So the more happy and relaxed you are, the more happy and relaxed they're going to be. And if they do become stressed, try not to feed into it. Ignore it. Again, easier said than done. But if they start becoming stressed and you react, you're both just going to wind up doing this whole vicious cycle of becoming more and more and more stressed. Also visualize if they're cats playing in the house, in the backyard, wherever your cats like to be. When you're driving to and from, when you're doing the packing, if you've got a dog, visualize walking over those areas, because without knowing it, you're actually sending mental pictures of the energy of the area, how the place looks, that sort of thing. When you actually move in, with cats, if they really stress, sometimes a cattery may be the safest place for the night while you move, because that way you're less likely to lose them. Otherwise, put them in the bathroom or something and tell the removalists not to go in there. Put a big sign on the door with litter and water and all the rest of that. And then once you've set the new place up, then move them in. Now, when you're moving in, I try, and I found it really does help, to set all your furniture up pretty much the same as you did at the last place. So that way, I know the house is different, but your routine's the same, and the same rooms have the same furniture. Well, the equivalent room has the same furniture. And if you want to set it up differently, do that in a couple of weeks when everyone's settled in. Then you can move the furniture again. I had planned to do quite a few changes, but both of the cats told me that they wanted things in the equivalent place of the last house to keep them settled. And I've got to say, particularly Morgana, who usually takes a week or two before I even see her, within 12 hours she's bouncing around and looking outside, watching people, doing all the stuff, instead of hiding under a chair, which used to be her normal routine for when we moved. Give the animals time to settle into the new routine. Again, easier said than done. I keep my guys out of the way while I unpack as much as I possibly can. I unpack 2/3 of the house on the first day. It's a 18-hour marathon. They then come in, feed them. For the cats, the litter's been transported in its box from one place to the other, so it's the same litter. Mecco's bed, I don't change the cover so that way it still smells the same from one house to another. Ditto the doona, etc. It'll go in the wash that night, but when it's made, and Mecco and the cats tend to make a beeline for my doona, again, it smells the same. Your food's the same bowls, etc., etc. You get the general idea. Now, I, being a nest therapist, have found using chill, peace, and ESR huge. Mecco is chill because that's long-term stress, and squirting that down his spine twice a day has made a huge difference. For the cats, it's peace and ESR. For those of you that don't use the Nest Infoceuticals, Rescue Remedy. Add it to the drinking water and give it to the dogs or cats. And even for horses too, if they're moving stables, works really well. And when you've actually, the first 72 hours or so forth, and you're tripping over boxes, I know it's horrid, but give the animals time. Let them explore. And don't start hiking the dog around the block in the first 24 to 48 hours. Give them time to settle into the new place and wait until they come off that hypervigilance when they're jumping at every sound and. Let them settle in a little bit first, then take them out. Or if they're a young bouncing Hungarian visual or something that desperately needs exercising, if you're not moved too far from your old place, take them back to where they were and walk them there on a familiar walk, so that then they're still getting the walk, but they're comfortable, they're in an area they know, they drop down that little bit more, then you can take them back to the new place. Give them a couple of days before you start walking around the new area. For dogs that are toey or stressed, that really does help. If you've got a happy, placid dog, you should be able to take it out straight away. But watch your individual animal's reactions, because they're like people. Every animal reacts differently. And if they're checking stuff out or they're a bit toey, just ignore them. Again, don't feed into it. Don't do inappropriate reassurance. They will settle more quickly that way in the long term. And the biggest and hardest thing to do is try and relax yourself, because as I've said, the more you're relaxed, the more they are. So don't just give your animals the chill, the peace, the ESR, or the rescue remedy. Take it yourself, because that will make the biggest difference of all. And with the visualizations, keep going with it, not just for the first 24, 48 hours. Visualize them happy, visualize them relaxed. Visualize them if there's a bed or an area you want them to sleep on. Visualize them being there and how happy you feel when they're there. Or if they're sniffing in the garden, make sure you go out and show them what area you want them to toilet, and then visualize them doing that. The more you can mentally show pictures of what you want, the better they're going to do. And then remember to visualize yourself being happy as well, because they're going to feed off those as much or more as the ones of what you want them to do. When you're visualizing yourself being happy, calm, and relaxed, that's the ones they're going to pick up on, because no one wants to live with someone that's super stressed. Animals in that respect are no different to us. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Talking with the Animals. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments, feel free to drop me a line or any topics you'd like me to cover. I'd love to hear from you. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and until next time, remember, talk with the animals.
Thank you for listening to Talking with the Animals. To learn more about Caroline and the services she provides, visit caroline-pope.com. You can also find her on Facebook at Caroline Pope Animal Communicator, CST, and NES Therapy. Are you ready to change the way you see your world and the animals in it? Well, we know his answer. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.